Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. And of course, we're discussing very important topic today. But before then, let's take this report about Nigeria's agriculture. I mean, from the backbone of the Nigerian economy in the 1960s when we got independence, 65 years later, how far has agriculture gone? Let's take this report.
Nigeria used to be a major producer of cash crops like cocoa, palm oil, groundnut, and cotton. Nigeria's agriculture accounted for over half of the GDP and was the primary source of employment, foreign exchange, earnings, and government revenue. However, the discovery and subsequent boom of crude oil export in the 1970s marked a turning point that led to the significant neglect of the agricultural sector. Farmers are still struggling with the old tools to produce food that barely feed the nation. We want the government to assist us with fertilizer by ensuring that it gets to the farmers. The number of farmers has reduced because out of 100%, about 20% have abandoned farming due to the cost of production. With massive oil revenues, successive governments shifted focus and resources away from agriculture. This created a perception that oil would be a more effortless path to prosperity. The neglect caused a sharp drop in both food and cash crop production.
The challenges we are facing is in this country, each and every farmer is on his own because there is not a proper intervention from the government. When I say intervention, when you look at our budgets, the percentage given to agriculture is low, is below expectation.
Numerous government programs such as Operation Feed the Nation and the Green Revolution have been rolled out over the years with limited long-term success. However, there has been inconsistency in the implementation of the programs.
You see, policy pronouncement is just one out of the entire cycle. Normally, we should have policy formulation, policy development, policy enactment before policy pronouncement. If you look at pronunciation for the declaration of state of emergency in agriculture, it didn't capture these four processes. We just went to the last one, which is announcing that there is a state of emergency. And because of that, you could see clearly that nobody can see for real that this is the direction that the state of emergency on agriculture is taking.
Beyond throwing money and credit to farmers to improve their production, there has been limited application of technology. This is primarily responsible for the stagnancy in agricultural development in Nigeria.
Over the years, if you look at what is happening, one of the things that keeps people away from agriculture is the drudgery involved in virtually all sectors of agriculture. Every unit operation in agriculture, you find out that it is manually done, right from clearing of the land, right from tillage, right from planting, spraying, harvesting, drying. All these things are manually done. So what we have come to realize is that if you want to make the field of agriculture to become very attractive, then you have to take measures to remove the drudgery involved in agriculture. And the only way you can do that is to encourage science and engineering in agriculture.
Despite effort to improve agriculture in Nigeria to ensure food security, farmer-herder conflict and insecurity in key food-producing regions, particularly the north, have displaced farmers and severely disrupted agricultural activities. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
A lot happening there in the field of agriculture there. I mean, that's a detailed report about how we've not been able to sustain the growth in agriculture from independence up to date. At independence, agriculture was the backbone of the economy, but 65 years down the line, that same sector is indeed struggling. Let's put some context into this. I'm being joined in the studio by architect Kabir Ibrahim. He's the president of Nigeria Agribusiness Group. He joins me right here in the studio. Good morning, Malam Kabir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, it's always a pleasure. Will you want to react to that report with regards to how agriculture has moved from one of the backbone of the economy in 1960 when we got independent, to now one of the most struggling sector in Nigeria?
Well, indeed, a lot has happened, and I would want to say that the discovery of oil may be responsible for some of the neglect that agriculture has suffered. And over time, because we did not use what we got from oil to harness the possibilities in agriculture, and then, of course, our growing population. In 1965, look at what Nigeria's population was. Today, we're in excess of 200 million people. So whatever it is, food, everybody eats it. About 200 million mouths have to feed properly. Maybe there are children who suckle their mother's breasts and all that. So we have problems in the food system. And a lot of work is being done now to make sure that something is done, but it is work in progress. It is a known saying in Nigeria that we used to be dependent on agriculture, but now all those things are gone. And to be able to reenact that, it requires a lot of effort from the part of everyone. Oil, of course, you can now see is already a cause. So what we must do, and in my message to Nigerians during the 65th anniversary, I said that we should harness the possibilities in Kampala Declaration. In Africa, through CADEP, we made a lot of declarations, allocation of 10% of the national budget to agriculture, making sure that 4 of the pillars of the food system were adhered to. That is to say, production, processing, distribution, and marketing. And so these things are a work in progress. In Nigeria, in 2008, we embarked on the provision of storages. If you see now, we have a storage capacity of almost 1.3 million metric tons. And all we need to do is to really boost or bolster our production to be able to have whatever surpluses we have in those storages. And then, of course, by the time we start implementing the Kampala Declaration of 2026 to 2035, we should be able to really think very well to be able to do that. Yes, of course, I've had the issue of the declaration of the state of emergency, the declaration of, the advice for policy implementation, policy following through to make sure that whatever is planned is actually done. So these are all the things that one was able to get out of that program.
Absolutely. You talk about Kampala Declaration. We've had a Maputo Declaration. Talking about AGOA, and still many years down the line, I think the AGOA declaration, a lot of people are calling for the renewal now after the expiration. All this declaration doesn't seem to be, having any positive in terms of how we implement our budget for this very critical sector.
Well, I think to be very fair, you had the Maputo Malabo, and then the Kampala Declaration is taking effect from January 1st. 2026. Now, for whatever reason, yes, people can say that we did not quite adhere to all those declarations sufficiently to really move up the food system. But some mileage has been covered, but it's not sufficient. Like Oliver Twist, Nigerians are asking for more. But this is a policy for Africa, all of Africa. Part of what the gains are that Africa is now one market. So when one country has comparative advantage in something else, it's a symbiotic relationship. All those advantages come to the other country.
So
a lot of work.
Free movement is also a big problem in Africa.
Well, you see, unfortunately, if systems or institutions don't work properly, you'll have these problems. But, if institutions all work, that is why, the question of food system, the question of economic growth will definitely rely on working institutions. If there is a border between us and Cameroon or Nigeria Republic, and the borders are not properly manned, and the trade in between those countries are not formalized, of course there will be so many setbacks.
Problems, yeah.
Yes, but as time goes on, and every country realizes that it's on its own, really. Because, this happened when we had COVID-19. Every country was really on its own. You couldn't even export or import from any other country. So you had to look inwards to be able to. And Nigeria, made some effort in that regard. When people were clamoring that the borders were closed and all that, we were able to get out of the COVID incident quickly, much faster than was anticipated, because we worked inside to be able to produce what we eat and what we eat what we produce and produce what we eat. So if that continues, I believe that Nigeria will get to a position where it will be self-sufficient. And there's still self-sufficiency in Nigeria means, honestly, more than half of Africa. Because informally, we are responsible for feeding many, many countries around
us.
And agribusiness will give the impetus for these things to work sustainably.
As someone from that space, agribusiness space, I know agri is a very big sector. The value chain, the development, and quite a whole lot I need to go in there for it to benefit the larger population in Nigeria and, of course, by extension, the rest of Africa. As someone playing in that space, agribusiness, how much do you think we are taking advantage of that? Because what we have is more like people actually producing what they eat. Subsistence farming now, in this case, the commercial farmers are quite very few. Some produce what they eat, and the little one they can actually take to the market. In most cases, it's less than 5%.
Well, there are many things, there are many calls to help the smallholder farmers and the small-scale producers to scale up. And then they can only scale when they take advantage of the possibilities in good science, the possibility in technology, the possibility in even climate smart production. Then there will be mechanization also. So all these things taken together will help them to scale. And when they scale, they help industry because they get ready buyers from industry, those people who add value. But for you to add value sufficiently well, you must have good power supply. The energy sector has to be. So it's a gamut of many things that have to work. But of course, the incentivization comes in that you can get out of poverty and get into prosperity when you add value to what you produce as a farmer. And that agribusiness provides that platform because we encourage industry to thrive based on what they can get from the small-scale holder farmers and small-scale producers to feed them. And they get good money from that, and they get exit poverty. And then mechanization, when it sets in, all these people, 70% of us that are in agriculture today, will go into the business of buying and selling those products from industry. So we do agribusiness. So agribusiness provides the platform for people to exit subsistence farming to get into prosperity through agribusiness. And that is what happens in the Netherlands, in the United States, in every country in Europe, and even the Americas. In fact, the population of farmers keeps reducing because of these opportunities in agribusiness. So agribusiness is the sine qua non to agricultural productivity and agricultural prosperity.
Now, talking about boosting agribusiness, now we're seeing support from the likes of FOA, talking about Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. It's an agency under UN, and of course an international, a German agency for international cooperation coming together, trying to partner to enhance food security in Nigeria. How much of, this is an international agencies who are concerned about Nigeria. How much do you think of support rather now are they getting from the local agencies responsible?
Well, Nigeria is contributing about $1.39 billion to that fund. There is about 3 $1.14 billion that the FAO and the German corporation are bringing together to do. They are contributing about $1.75 billion. So you can see the local contribution is almost 50%. And then they are targeting crops, about 5 of them, cassava, maize, fisheries, tomatoes, dairy, and tomato. So
they've identified about 5 states or 6. There's Katsina here, there's Borno, there's Ebonyi, there's Cross River, Niger, and of course Oyo State.
Yes, and that is the way to go, because agriculture actually takes place in the states, not here in Abuja. Not in Abuja. So, and those states are really food baskets in their own rights, but there is poverty among them. So they are fragile. So you need to go there and scale. Help the farmers to scale, to produce optimally, and then when you encourage productivity, as in value addition and all that, those items that they identified will now get good market. If you take tomato, for instance, a lot of it that is produced in so many of these states gets wasted because it's not uptaken by industry. It has a short life and all that. Look at cassava. Cassava, we are number 1 in cassava production in the world. A lot of our cassava is what is even eaten as gari and all that, but there are many uses. You can put starch, you can do many things, gum, ethanol, and all that. So if all these things take place, there will be opportunity for everybody. That's why I told you, instead of after working here on TV, you will also have an outfit somewhere that processes cassava to certain things, and you can partake in agribusiness there. And it's only agriculture that everybody is allowed to partake. Even the president can do agricultural business. Anybody who works in government can also do agriculture. So agriculture is unique in that respect. If you open another office to do other things in government, you are running foul of the law.
Let's look at a key aspect of intervention now for this partnership. Now, there is a key focus on specific crops. Okay, we've identified cassava, maize, and tomatoes. These are vital crops that we need. How much of investment? My fear is, we've heard about this humongous amount. You talk about $1.something billion investment now. But sometimes when this money comes in, we don't get to see the visibility of what they were actually used for.
No, I think when these things take shape, you don't see money flying, but you see activities that people are engaged in, and they get livelihood from that. When the economy works, for instance, in any nation, nobody begs anybody for anything. People go about their businesses and they're okay. If you go to the United States, just because you are wearing flying gowns and all that and moving around, nobody will keep saying Rankadede, carrying your bag and following you. But because they are getting their livelihoods from other things that are happening. So you find a state governor there. I used to go to Atlanta, for the what they call the egg and chicken exposition. I remember when the late Andrew Young was governor, he used to carry his own briefcase into the Congress Center. He didn't have people following him. If you look at the Nigerian governor now, when he goes to any place, there are so many people. Because they just get something from there. But probably in the United States, they don't have to do that because they get other monies from there. If you go to the United States, you see even, I saw the then Prime Minister of the UK, of England, riding a bicycle to shop on his own. So it's like that, once people are busy and you get your livelihood from some engagement that you have, you will not need to follow anybody or, go out of your way to really respect somebody beyond their belief and make them demigods.
Indeed, you're quite correct. And, my belief is that when, as a government, when a government does some projects, you really do not need to come out and explain the project that you have done to the people. The people see what you have done. They feel the presence. But what we have in Nigeria and some other part of Africa is the president always having somebody to defend their program, to communicate their policies to the people. I mean, policies.
No, what happens?
That are being felt.
It's not only
in this case.
It's not only in Nigeria.
In the area of agriculture, we have been talking about state of emergency that was being declared by the president. But you heard somebody that spoke on the TV there saying that the impact is not really being felt.
No, he is talking from only one perspective. You also feel it. Farmers are complaining that their prices, they are not getting good prices now from their produce. How much are they selling maize now? 100 kg of it. So how can you tell me there is no effect?
No, it's because
look, how can you tell me?
Because of open borders again for more.
No, you don't. Maybe you put this in perspective. You see, between July and December, the government found it necessary to allow the importation of
some certain products.
Some products. And they even went out of their way that rice should be husked rice, so that the millers will be busy. So I mean, and now I can tell you, and you can verify, the sale of what was imported is in NSIA. They are monitoring to give millers those products, so that those products, they will add value to those products, and they will in turn help people like you and I. But if somebody is mismanaging that, I mean, I don't think you should blame the president. You know, it's the whole system.
No, the whole system. The buck stop on his table.
Definitely, and he has taken responsibility. I mean, there is no way the president will be everywhere. There is no way the president will have to be an agriculturist or an economist or whatever, or everything.
When you give a directive and the directive is not being followed,
once you identify who is supposed to do something and they don't do it, you create punitive measures. And those punitive measures are enormous. There are many ways you can control the system. And I believe this is work in progress in Nigeria. In Nigeria, because everybody is feeling the pinch now. Everybody feels that things must work for them to be able to have a good life. So as time goes on, these questions you are raising will be asked. I believe right now there is a system minister that is getting a lot of fire over credentials. I mean, otherwise, everybody would have kept quiet. The man has been there 2 years or so. Nobody is saying anything. But you can see now, the uproar is that there must be explanations. Some people are even saying government should sack him before even finalizing this. If the talk is there, and the people are talking about it, something will happen. This one that we are talking about, this opening of borders and all that, so many people are complaining. I'm sure the government is explaining. And whenever government takes action, any action, there must be a spokesman to explain. That is, they say, even if you are handsome like you dress well. You are here now, jacketed and all that. You are looking good on TV. I mean, why don't you wear rags and come here? You must give an image. You must do something. So these are the image makers of the government, and they are saddled with the responsibility of telling people that this is what we are doing. That is, if this talk that some people say, if you have a dog to bark for you, you don't need to bark, does not work in government.
But in some cases, we see the presidents of some of other countries communicating directly to the people. That's a discussion for another day. We have a system in Nigeria, and I don't know whether it is working for us or not. But let's look at this $3.14 billion investment.
No, but I want to interject on this. In which country in the world that you find the presidents explaining everything? Even Obama, who used to be an orator, had somebody who was explaining some things. There are many things you contend with. It cannot just be that every decision, everything the president has to come forward to say it. No. But it is imperative that we understand that there must be explanation for certain things, especially when people do not trust the government. In Nigeria, it's the lack of trust that is causing many problems. You see, the thing is that those people who benefit on a larger scale, including other people, don't take these things for granted. It is when people have a lot of money for themselves, they buy aircrafts, they buy good cars, they build good houses, then they start talking that government is working. It's working. But when the system itself shows that it is working, and the common people are getting benefits from it, that is what is called economic growth. If people who are struggling to survive don't get anything to rely on, the economy is not working.
Exactly. That's my point, Mr. President. Because at some point you see government communicating that, the macroeconomic indices are looking good, inflation is going down, exchange rate is stable. I mean, But when you go and check the quality of lives of the common man, these people don't care about your microeconomic indices or not. What they are looking at, if there is no money in their pocket, if they cannot go to the market and get value for the money in their pocket, then what kind of economic growth are you explaining?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you have a very good point there, and I have said it here. Economy will work when everybody in the society feels the effect.
Absolutely.
So, but you can have economic growth in so many areas, like when they tell you the dollar exchange rate is stable at maybe 1,004. Yes, industry can plan because they know the extent. But the common man who goes to the market and who has never even seen dollar doesn't care about that. But if the people doing labor, hard labor, the people selling small things dollarize those activities, the effect on the common man will be more. And this is what is happening in Nigeria.
Indeed, that is quite a whole lot that is happening. And of course, like we said, the government is about feeling, not even up about explanation. If I'm hungry and I told you I'm hungry, and you say, oh, this is the reason why you are hungry. And sometimes it doesn't really make sense unless I get the food and put in my to quench my hunger. As we begin to wrap up now, because time is fast spent, this $3.14 billion investment, I am somehow worried. I hope this money will be utilized properly, because we've had issues like this before, where at the end of the day, maybe money is hijacked somewhere by some unknown faces.
Well, I want to assure you that this money is not going to be given to anybody or government. No. A lot of it is going to impact on, in the first instance, those 5 crops. And the only people who produce them are farmers. And what you want are results, milestones, measurable progress. So you must apply those resources properly. And these people will not give you money to go and maybe do something else with the money. You will apply the money and spend it judiciously. This is not, it's coming to Nigeria, they call it hand in hand. Hand in hand, that everybody, every player, play their own part. You understand me? So and they have done this in other countries. This is a Sahelian issue. All the countries in Sahel have experienced this. It's now Nigeria is getting into it. But so many other places were there. Now Nigeria is getting into it. And Nigeria is coughing out 1.39 billion to it. And then when you translate it into Naira, that's trillion. That the talk that we are not funding agriculture, we're not. If this money is brought onto this, you can see that it's going to be a large percentage, because if our budget is in the region of 54 trillion, for instance, and you have this aspect guzzling so many trillions, when you put it on the agriculture allocation, you see that it ramps it up. So what we want is, whatever is being done, let it be done transparently. Let it be done properly. Let the people responsible for it be held accountable. That is the only way. Whatever amount of money you put there, it will not have any impact if the institutions saddled with the responsibility of really implementing are not implementing very well. And then we in the private sector, because this money, this 1.39 billion,
yes.
A good part of it is coming from commitments by the private sector. I want you to appreciate that. We attended the hand-in-hand meeting at the Continental Hotel. I was there representing Nasima. I was there also as president of Agribusiness Group. So we are private sector. We are not government. Government itself will provide the enabling environment for this to work by making its own contribution.
Before we wrap up, let's clarify whether this money is a grant or is a loan. Because if it's a grant, we can understand that the farmers can enjoy some leverage. But if it's a loan,
I don't know why you are asking. If you are asking me this question, it seems that you don't know what is happening. You just said it's a UN agency that is doing it. Is the UN giving loan to any nation? Find that out. You Google it.
All right. So it's important we get that clarification.
No, Google that.
It's important we get a clarification from you. I understand that the UN is not a financial institution, a development finance institution, but they have their allies linked everywhere. I must thank you, Malam Kabir Ibrahim, President, Nigeria Agribusiness Group, for your time on business.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yes.
With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again here tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogu.